Showing from G2 once again, showcasing their classic creativity. But to get some more thoughts on that win, let's leave it to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. G2, they bounced back after the loss earlier today against Fengfu Buffalo, but also secure that 2-0 head-to-head now over SKT and move solidly into second place. We talked about some of the creativity that this team has showcased throughout the tournament and domestically. Get a little bit more of it here in Champion Select again.
Oh, this isn't standard? This isn't what everyone expected? You sure?
So it was such a cool champ select because it starts with 4 flex bans and then Jay's first pick. And then we see the Elise coming and we're like, okay. Khan is bringing friends this time.
Top.
He's going to absolutely destroy one. And we said, and we were talking like, what can he pick top lane to survive? What can he actually do against Jay's Elise with the current bans? And he comes up with this surprise pick, obviously, in the Pyke that we can talk a lot about in the game as well. But I think just overall the way the draft went, it was like Varus, Tahm Kench, so you have a winning bot lane for G2. Then the MF came in, to me, purely as an answer to the lane to say we need to just go even. Because we're playing topside with Jace and Elise. Something needs to survive down there.
Right, so in a lot of ways, SKT's early game plan is telegraphed here with that strong early jungler in Elise and the Jace in the top lane. So let's look and take a look, rather, and see how they supported that early strategy with their in-game play.
Yeah, I mean, this was about the level 1 invade, also using the Braum MF to be able to move in, invade on the red side, get wards down to be able to actually track Jankos.
Exactly, so now you know if Jankos is top side. You see him here killing the red buff. You see how on the other side, we have Elise ready to contest when Jankos walks into the river. And this is important because the goal is to kind of cut the map in half and tell Jankos, you have to go to bottom side, mate. You got nothing to do here. And this now means Wunder is alone top lane. Look at the minimap. Jankos on Jarvan, he's at the dragon right now. So no one is going to help Wunder. And then what happens here in this trade is Wunder gets to use his Aftershock to get away from Khan. So now he's super squishy.
It's all focused on Jankos here, because the fact that Jankos got pushed on the opposite side of the map, he could have tried to hover, but if he'd done that up against the Elise, that is a major gambit. He loses experience in doing so.
And now we're going to see kind of the answer from G2. Normally, a team would try and send the jungler up here alone and try and see if you can gank Khan, who's sitting without flash. But Jankos can't go alone, because if Elise is here, he will die in a 2v2. So what G2 likes to do is sacrifice Caps' lane and just move him out of that lane to come help in a 3v2. Sadly, it's a big mistake from Jankos in terms of the flash execution here. So now he just dies. And at this point, we're basically calling GG already.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like such an impossible point to come back from because everything had gone wrong for G2. It's like, all right, well, it's Vayne top all over again. You tried this cute pick. It got dove. You're roaming top. You're giving up all this massive advantage mid lane as well because Faker is not moving during any of this time.
Look at those CSDs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Faker is just sitting mid lane on the Azir into LeBlanc plus 20 CS. Khan is over 20 CS up as well. And you're thinking, well, this is where SKT is supposed to thrive. You know, Impact had an interview with Travis today. He's talking about he thinks SKT is the best team in this tournament because of the fact that they don't make mistakes from an advantage, because they make sure of everything, because they're so calculated. And if you're looking at it through that lens, you're like, well, G2's got to be screwed, right?
You would think so, and everyone started going to Twitter saying, this Pyke, what is this, troll pick, you know, he's just losing lane, he can't do anything. Obviously, he was ganked early, but the Pyke in itself was not picked to try and destroy Jace from level 1. It was picked because of all the chaos it creates. How later on in the game, you can make plays around the Pyke, or you can roam the Pyke around. You set up in 1-3-1. It's not a 1-3-1 because Pyke, he goes to LeBlanc lane, so 2 members on this side suddenly, and you catch people off. And actually, let's just bring up the next replay.
Let's do it then. 12 minutes in. Huge turnaround fight for G2 to get back into it.
Calculated SKT, well, they think they're catching Mickey and Jankos right here. Sadly for them, there are only 3 players. And there's 4 from G2 and a Pyke on it. Faker was literally just standing there recalling when this whole fight started.
So it just makes it so GT can just crash right in. A lot of the times you see these compositions, like where LeBlanc dives in. Usually it's the Camille, but the Pyke just dives straight in. No Faker, and how's SKT going to succeed?
And I think one of the most powerful parts about surprise picks such as this is that you have practiced out this matchup. How many times do you think SKT played against a Pyke top in a competitive scrim? My guess is 0, right? And this is one of those situations where you can be caught off guard by what type of things this pick can pull off, how easily he was able to actually shrug off the Jace poke by just stepping into the brush or utilizing his W, how much burst he was able to actually provide with all of this gold being funneled into a Pyke that early on compared to that of a support Pyke.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't show this replay to praise Wonder for getting a triple kill because he technically just came down and clicked ulti, right? It was SKT who started the fight when there were only 3 players and got punished, but it's because this is what now unlocks the composition from G2. This is what now allows Pyke to get out of this lane where he's getting bullied. He has a couple of kills, and now the chaos just continues. All game long, they are flying around, catching people left and right.
And my biggest worry for G2 from that point forward was like, how are they going to be able to open the map? And I think Caps actually played that one out well in terms of going towards the top side of the map, opening up the top lane turret, and then it made it so at every point, if SKT wanted to try and answer it, send Khan to the side lane, guess who's going to follow? And suddenly you're dealing with both the LeBlanc and the Pyke at all times.
I'm going to let you jump in just a moment, Azale. I just wanted to let viewers at home know that we'll get some insight from Wonder himself on that Pyke pick in just a few minutes. But returning to the conversation around how, from that 12-minute mark where, yes, they get a turnaround fight, ultimately G2 still had to close it out for victory.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I do want to throw a little bit of criticism Khan's way, because I do think that he played this out a little bit disrespectfully. There was a number of times, you know, even after that initial turnaround fight, where he is then pushing without vision. He is not respecting the fact that both, you know, Jankos and Wonder can be up there. You know, how powerful their CC was to be able to take him down. He was not always backing off in fights and was positioning aggressively, even without flash. We saw that at the tier 2 dive where he was taken down. After his flash is forced out of that tier 2 turret, or tier 1 turret rather, he backs off, but he's posturing aggressively looking to poke, and he's getting caught out and getting taken down.
Yeah, and that's not okay when you're investing the first pick and also the second pick with Elise, all towards winning topside. So Teddy had to play MF. That's not a very, very strong pick, and especially not in a game like this. Like, it was picked for lane. He has to then walk into a team fight where you're getting 3 assassins from different angles and a Jarvan flying in your face. Who do you ult? The moment you ult, you basically stun yourself and you will die. I'm not sure why I did the animation, but that's what he does. So
you should make the sounds too.
Yeah, skipping the sound.
I mean, I would have enjoyed it.
Teddy was basically useless in this game because they invested everything topside, and then Khan ends up not being able to do anything.
For SKT, the way they should have been able to win the game, of course, is to play through Elise. Elise had been able to secure such a great advantage, and of course, the replay we showcased was, you know, Faker basing, but they needed to be able to group around the most strongest early game member, and a lot of the times they were just not able to do that. They were certainly caught off guard. We all were. I don't think anybody out there, like there are a few people out in the world that will know the Pyke Jace or matchup, let alone the composition that G2 are trying to employ there. So best of 1 tactics, my friend. I mean, it's going to come back, I'm sure, but that was fun.
Continue to be impressed by G2's creativity when it comes to the draft phase and how it translates into victories. Let's head over to Shox for a chat with G2's top laner.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm here with Wonder, who played Pyke top versus SKT. I'm going to be honest, I don't need this because I was writing down questions to interview you guys for a possible win, but then after the first 10 minutes, I was like, this is not happening. However, it turned around. So can you run me through kind of the different phases of that game?
Well, I mean, to be fair, we had more success when we played Pyke top in scrims than what this game showed. It was really rough early on. I thought I was fine, but then I got dove by Elise Jace, which in hindsight, I should probably have known would happen. But I mean, even though you fall a bit behind on Pyke, it's like a support champ, so you can be useful with your ult. It still executes people, still does a lot of damage. So yeah, we still had our heads in the game, not unlike, I guess, the Buffalo game, but we had our heads in the game this one, and we believed that we could still win, yeah.
Yeah, you seem quite happy about it. I have heard that this was something, as you said, you scrimmed with and that you have been wanting to try for a long time. So why specifically in this matchup and against this composition, in this composition?
I mean, I just believe that you can't really get punished as much when you play Pyke into Jace. And then Jace kind of wants to like really dominate lane and get like a big lead, but I think that Pyke both like outshines Jace out of lane and then can also like kind of, I guess, deal with it fine. Doesn't really matter what comp you have, but like preferably you want like something that can CC, so you can land the ult, and you want something that can like chunk them down before the fight starts. Otherwise, I will never really be useful. I will just be like looking for hooks and looking for stuns. But yeah, so that's like, I guess, the main 2 things.
Now, this was again one of those draft choices that was kind of secretive and a surprise and then end up working out, but it doesn't always. What's your view on kind of the fact that G2 is always trying these new things? Do you think you should always do that, or do you think you should temper it at some times, like we saw with the Vayne pick, for instance?
I mean, of course, like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because sometimes we don't really have a lot of practice on some of the champs that we maybe should have, because we're trying something that we thought or think can work, and sometimes it's the other way around, right? We find something really insane that can get us wins, but yeah, I think it's basically just, I can narrow it down to like that. It can be a bad thing, but we're trying to make it a good thing most of the time.
I think this game showed that you can turn it around even if it doesn't work out in the beginning. Finally, now that the first round robin is over, now you've already even beaten SKT twice. We've seen some ups and downs, I would say, from G2 Esports. What do you think you have to focus on going forward?
Well, I think we just need to know our priorities when it comes to draft. I mean, that's like a really, that is a really basic thing to say, right? Like, we just need to know what's actually good. But I believe that we have been caught off guard by some of the teams that we haven't actually practiced against on stage. So yeah, I mean that, and also we need to stay more composed when things aren't going our way, and like try to actually climb back into the game, which we didn't do today. So yeah, mainly those things.
Okay. After the final, you tweeted, "I got my first trophy. What do I do now?" I mean, beating SKT with Pyke top, is that hitting the spot?
Yeah, I mean, the first game I beat SKT with like 50 CS lead in lane or something like that, and now I beat them with Pyke. Although they don't look as dominant this tournament, so it's not like the greatest achievement as maybe it would have been when they were like on top. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a big feat, I guess. And I mean, now we just have to beat IG, right, which haven't really paid off in the past.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. I think you can be really proud, nevertheless, of beating SKT twice. Thank you very much, Wonder, with Pyke top, styling on them. It was crazy. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it is the last game of the day. IG versus Fangfu Buffalo. Don't go anywhere.